So, good evening, Laura, and thank you very, very much for coming on this evening to chat with everybody. We're very, very grateful for you for using your time like this, and I'm sure it's going to be a very useful and informative evening. So, one of the first things I'd like to ask you is how does Props Mental Health work, and what can you, as a company, as an individual, offer people in the entertainment industry?
We are a facilitating and network support entity.
Right.
And we can also deal with emergency support cases for potential suicide, suicidal thoughts, any issues with alcohol, drug awareness, and just basically, if anybody's looking for advice on how to network, they're looking for connections for a particular agent, or whatever it is that they're looking for within the industry. If we've got the contact details or people that we can network with, then we're like a support hub group kind of thing.
Yes.
So so our aims and goals is to be able to provide a service for people across the whole of the arts and entertainment industry, from theatre to film, television, right across the board.
Yeah.
We are in the process of amalgamating with two other entities, 6 foot from the spotlight, who do very much the same as Props, but for crews of theatre, TV and film.
Right.
And Leo Thomas, who predominantly works with the mental health side of actors who play intensive characters while on a film set.
Right.
So we're going to amalgamate the three together, so we're covering absolutely everything. Certain areas will overlap, but yes, our aim is to gain the funding to be able to train actors with suicide, with mental health first aid, so that when people are on set, they're covered from all angles. Crew will be trained, cast will be trained, and hopefully across the board there will be a bigger, better support network.
Right. So what about kind of like spectrums, that kind of split conditions from everyday issues? Can you explain how that works?
Mental health overall can be a really big entity to try and explain. So the way that they split it up is you've got your everyday issues of anxiety, depression, having a bad day, what sort of issues are you having, finance, family, all your general sort of everyday anxieties. But then you've got your spectrum of your physical, which is your likes of your bipolar, schizophrenia, and anything that comes onto that sort of spectrum that needs specialist therapy help. Now, obviously, you've got your Asperger's, your autism, and all those as well, and they all go on a great big their own spectrums within their own realms.
Right.
So we are able to support on an emergency basis anybody with any of those particular conditions. We would recommend to them that there will be a list of specialists that will be attached to Props Mental Health and 6 foot and Leo Thomas.
So you can actually put people in touch if they need to be referred further. You have those kind of contacts.
Yes. And again, one of our aims is to be able to do that free of charge to the actor. We are hoping to be able to get the funding in place that we can pay the therapist, but it's not going to be a charge to the actor.
That's fantastic.
That is our overall. How long it will take us is a different story, but that is our overall aim, is to be able to have all that in place, and not just therapy, counselling as well. And I mean, we are aware that there are other entities around. You've got your Mind Charity, you've got Industry Minds, Acting for Others. We are aware everybody's all out there. We don't want to be a conflict of interest. We want to all be able to work together and network and support each other.
Yes. And so does that sort of cover then specific help for both sides? How does that work?
How do you mean, sorry?
Well, obviously help from both sides from you and from the actor. So they can help you by obviously explaining the situation, and then the help that you would give is what you've explained.
Yes.
Right.
Obviously, everything all has to come from the actor being able to talk.
Right.
You know, they have to be able to find the encouragement to come to us in whatever format, be it a tweet, an email, contact us on Facebook, either publicly or through a private message.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
entirely up to them in what format they contact us, but they
Yes.
have to make the first contact, and then, you know, we can discuss things from there, get to the root cause of what the problem is, break it all down, and then find a solution to build everything all back up again.
Right. Right.
That's the thing with mental health is, you know, you can become completely overwhelmed. I mean, you know, take lockdown, for example. Everybody, you know, practically everybody's lost their job in some format of another. You've got all your anxiety, you've got your pressure of finance. No doubt there's been family arguments and what have you all over the place. So obviously you're going to get overwhelmed with all these different emotions and everything going on. So it's like, how do you deal with it? Well, how do I deal with my finances? How do I do, you know, and that's when your brain goes into total meltdown.
Yes.
So we're able to discuss things with people, break it all down, get to the problem, right? What is it with the finances, right? Yeah, we can put that into one bubble. What is it with the family, right? Okay, yeah, let's deal with that. And then break it all down and work out what is going to be the best way to work out a plan to move forward. So, yeah, so I mean, we can do that and then help everybody rebuild back up all their confidence and get back to where they were.
Yes.
I mean, some people it takes longer than others. It depends on the individual. And it is a two-way. It's being able to, one, talk, and two, find that correct support.
Yes.
And it does, you know, it does take time. And, you know, you'll also find that somebody will be able to speak to one person but might not be able to speak to another.
Yes.
Then it's being able to the phrase never give in, never give up is absolutely brilliant, because somewhere along the lines, no matter what it is you're trying to do, you will find that connection that will click for you. It's just having that patience and keep working and working and working.
Yes. Would you say that talking to a stranger, as bizarre as it sounds, do you think talking to a stranger is sometimes better maybe than talking to a family member? How do you see that?
More
Rather
often
than
than
me going to my partner, and yes, I could talk to him, he's very good, but talking to David, for example, and say, look, I've got this problem, I want to talk about it. Unless, do you think it makes more sense to talk to somebody who is totally impartial to a situation or to how you are feeling personally?
Majority of the time, yes. It is a lot easier to speak to a stranger, simply because they know nothing of the case. They know nobody of who you're speaking about. So they're completely non-judgmental, completely impartial. And it's actually easier to speak to somebody that you don't know, so that, you know, you're in your own mind, you're not thinking, oh, well, if I say this, am I going to upset this person? Are they going to go back and repeat this to this? You know, there's none of that whatsoever, because whoever you're talking to hasn't got a clue of who it is you're speaking about.
Right. Well, that does make absolute sense. Now, I've made a couple of notes here about that mindset is very important.
It is, yes, and it's difficult to explain, but mindset is obviously how your own thought processes operate.
Right.
You've got your conscious side of your brain and you've got your subconscious side of your brain. Your conscious side of your brain is the one that you actually decide all your facts and figures and how you're actually going to go about something. Your subconscious part of your mind is your thought processes, where your opinions come from, how you react to something. And not everybody is aware of how their subconscious mind operates.
Right.
You know, again, take all the riots that's been happening in London recently.
Yeah.
There's so many different opinions going around that's all down to everybody's subconscious mind. They've seen a little bit of what might be a true fact, because obviously the media are very good at putting spin on things. So it's, you know, it's knowing how to control your subconscious mind and not to react in not an offensive way, but react, what am I trying to say, without thinking about it, so to speak.
Right.
You know, yes, be spontaneous, but when it comes to thoughts and opinions, sometimes you have to, right, now hold on a minute. If I say this, is what I'm saying a true fact, or is that just my own thought process?
Right.
And it's being aware of how you're going to say something and what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And how many times, you know, every you know, we're only human. You know, how many times, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, hindsight. You know, so it's being able to learn how to use your gut feeling, how to control your subconscious mind of, if I say this, is this going to kick off an argument?
Right.
Or being careful of, right, I want to get my opinion across, but how am I going to get my opinion across so that I'm actually listened to rather than shot down in flames, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, well, look, you've given us a great insight into how you work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand it over to you, and I'm going to let you take us through. I think you were mentioned to me when we had a chat before that you've got a couple of charts that you would like to take us through. So if you're happy to do that and share that with us, and then take us through it, each of those charts, and then whenever everybody's ready, if you want to ask a question, please put your hand up with your little emoji or just raise your hand, and I'm sure that Laura will obviously listen to what you've got to say. Okay, so I'll hand it over to you now, Laura.
Hi, thanks very much, John, and thank you so much for inviting me to join you all this evening. If there's anything that comes up that nobody likes, please either feel free to leave, or at the end, please do contact us for a private chat, because obviously mental health can be quite a big trigger for a lot of people, and the last thing we want to do is have anybody upset or anybody feel that they cannot speak out about anything. So as John was saying, we've got the actor's iceberg. I'm finding a lot of people have actually seen this, and I'm going to try and do this without cutting myself off. So if I take that one down, I need to close that one, I need to take that one down, and I need to move that over. Right, so here we go.
As we wait in anticipation.
Can everybody see that one?
We can, yes.
Right, wonderful. So the actor's iceberg. So what does everybody see at the top? All your, depending on what it is, whether it's a film, TV program, a play, you're in a theatre, you're on an outdoor event, all your awards, that's what the general public see as the top of your iceberg. What you deal with underneath, you know, your daily pressures of your training courses, be whatever it's type of training you've done. You've got your daily goals. You're getting all your rejection after rejection after rejection from auditions. You're having to do time management to get around all your auditions while you're still dealing with umpteen rejections. If need be, you're having some sort of counselling. I'm going to speak to somebody. And if you are working, you're obviously still having to deal with time management, going from job to job to job, your determination to succeed, to get up to this bit. And in between all this, you need to be able to find rest and be able to accept a no, while also being able to have your patience. So you can imagine it's an overwhelming experience for you all. And this is where a lot of people within the industry struggle with feeling overwhelmed, anxiety, pressure of finance, pressure of family, away from home, working all the time, breakdown of relationships, be it either with parents, children, partner, you know, sometimes right across the board. I've dealt with some very complex cases in some situations. So it's how do we overcome all this? How do we overcome all this pressure? How do we, as I was saying earlier, how do we break down an issue to get to the root cause, to be able to put in all the solutions and build everything back up? So to be able to overcome that anxiety, one is being able to talk, and I'm going to stop this one and I'm going to pick up the other one.
Could I just pause you 1 second? Could everybody, because I think there's quite a bit of feedback coming in, would you mind all muting yourselves apart from Laura, because I'm getting quite a bit of feedback. Thanks.
And sorry guys, close that one and then pick up this one. That one, back into this one, and can everybody see that one?
Yeah.
Yep. So this one is what can I control, what can I not control. Now the basics of this one is set up around is set up around the lockdown, which is hence how in this top corner here you've got I cannot control the amount of toilet paper in a store. So it's being able to take something like this as a visual aid and transfer it into what can you do within the industry with finance, lack of work, addition after addition, all the rest of it. So what can you not control? You can't control not getting the job. You can't control the feedback that you're given. You can't control the timings and having to run around and all your time management to some extent. So what can you control? A positive mental attitude of, right, I've got this audition coming up. What can I do? What can I, how much information can I find out of what's expected of me? That one's obviously follow CCC recommendations, you know, obviously coming out of lockdown, find out what's expected of you to be in an audition. Are they going to be going back into open auditions? Are they going to be online? If they're going to be online, find out how your casting directors and your production team would like you to present what it is that they're asking of you. Limiting your time on social media. As you know, social media is a double-edged sword. There is a lot of brilliant information out there, brilliant networking facilities. Obviously, that's how props operate. We're completely online. But you've also got in the background all the noise and all the nastiness and everything that goes on. So figure out ways of how can you control that. Do you want to block somebody? Do you want to mute somebody? Do you want to hide any comments? You know, that again is all down to your mindset and how you can control those subconscious thoughts. So again, it goes back to what can I control, what can I not control? And the things that you cannot control that do kick off your anxiety and those overwhelming experiences, write them down on a piece of paper. Because you'll also find that writing things down will actually help clear your mind, and it stops all the buzzing and the noise of the subconscious mind. So I hope that's helpful. And if you have any more questions on that, please do ask. And these are available. I can send them to you. Every so often, Props does post memes on the Twitter and Facebook. Feel free to save them, because you know they are. This one is a clip art from Carrie Stevens' art, which she designed for the counselingteacher.com. So they are all being produced for presentations and things like this.
Thank you. That's great.
You're welcome. So yeah, it literally is finding within yourself how you can control your own mindset. And only you as a person can figure that out, but it is a lot easier when you can sit and speak to somebody else. And you might think, yeah, okay, I'll try that. Other techniques that you can try for yourselves is meditation, hypnotherapy, going out for a walk. As Christina said, is it Christine? Christina, sorry, I didn't quite catch. Christine, you said about you were having a really rough time and you'd spoken to somebody and you'd found that not being a part of the arts and entertainment industry is what was making you feel so depressed. So, you know, when you've had a life-changing experience or whatever, and you're thinking, I'm at a loose end here, what can I do? It's think back to what times were you happy in? When was your happiest time? How did you get to that point? And think back. And for a lot of people, it's, oh yeah, I stopped doing this particular sport, or I stopped being part of arts and entertainment, or I stopped whatever because of childbirth or marriage, or a breakdown of a marriage, or a breakdown of a relationship, you know, whatever it was the cause. So it's going back and thinking, right, okay, what do I want to get involved with again? And then, you know, you'll also meet new people. I mean, you might have stopped something because of bullying or clash of personalities. So you've stopped doing something. So pick it up a couple of years, few years later, and get back into it, because it'll be new people. There'll be new things to learn. Things will have changed. So yeah, I always think back to times when you were happy, and how did you get to that point of when you were happy, and build again. It's all about building everything right back up again and being able to have the confidence, and say sometimes you need that support to be able to get that confidence to get back to where you were. As I say, the meditation hypnotherapy, we are creating lists that we can refer you to. Again, these are, at the moment, they are free of charge. We have an online one that's running just now that has contacted us, that have been a great support to a few people. We've also got another one that is doing one-to-one work, free of charge. Their funding has come from the military, but they are willing to support any professional creative actor within the arts and entertainment industry. They must come through props so that we can refer you, so that we definitely know that you will get this support for free. For anything that, you know, if you're needing somebody to talk to, you can't get hold of props, or you find that the information that we are able to relay to you isn't suitable for you, remember, you've got your Equity phone line, you've got Mind Charity phone line, and you've got the Samaritans, and that's just a small group of what help is out there. Again, we've got lists, we can refer you to all sorts of different areas. And please don't ever feel that you can't say, actually, I don't like what you've said, or I'm finding what you're saying is not helpful. Because this is completely impartial. It's not about me personally. It's not about props personally, Spotlight, 6 Foot from the Spotlight, or Leo Thomas. It's about you, and you need to find what works best for you. So always be mindful of that, you know, you're in control of your own health and well-being. So again, you know, I'll reiterate, it's a case of you need to find what works best for you. How to change your mindset, resilience. Again, it's a case of use your subconscious mind of saying, right, hold on a second, is this just an opinion that's popped into my mind that I don't like this? Or is this something that is a fact that, right, you know, again, weigh the two of them up, and then learn to try and control the
It's the height of the growing season.
Could I ask, sorry to interrupt you, Laura, could I ask everybody, to, apart from Laura, to mute yourselves, because I'm getting feedback from somebody. So if you can just press your mute buttons, please.
So yeah, it's just building up resilience is being able to control different situations, control how you react to a situation. So whereas before somebody might say something to you and you go, hey, and you know, lose your temper or whatever, and it's just like, hold on a second, I'm going to have to learn to bite my tongue here. So it's being able to take the rough with the smooth. Again, another example would be, you don't like how a casting director has given you feedback you've got two options. You've got two options there. You can either talk back to them and say, well, I'm sorry, I don't like what you've said, which you're perfectly entitled to do. But again, it's being aware of how you say it, how they say it, but also how you say it, because reactions are actually noticed more than what is originally said in the first place. So again, it's building up a resilience to not be able to fight back. There's a difference.
Laura, I also think, sorry to interrupt you, but I do
okay.
think sometimes with what can be quite frustrating with, you go for a casting, and the frustration can often come from not hearing back from the casting director, not getting any feedback, which then sometimes we have to walk away from it and say, right, okay, on to the next. But when we're kept waiting and we're not hearing anything, and yet sometimes we are told, yes, you'll hear something, that can often create quite a lot of angst because we're waiting for an answer on something. I don't think I speak alone in this, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying, that, if you're not happy with the feedback that you have been given, then yes, I think we should be at liberty to be able to say, well, hang on a second, I don't feel that was very constructive or whatever, so sorry, anyway.
No, I mean, you're quite right. I mean, it's the same, it's the same with any format of interview. 9 out of 10 times nowadays, you don't get any feedback at all. And you're right, it does. That can actually make you feel worse than not receiving any feedback, than receiving non-constructive feedback. So again, it's being able to build up that resilience of, well, that's out of my control. I can't control them not giving me feedback, so I've just got to write this off. And it's being able to have that strong, positive, confident mindset of, right, okay, I've got to draw a line under this, move on to the next one.
Yes.
What have I got to do to move on to the next audition, next interview, So again, that's, as long as you can build up that resilience, again, that's down to being able to control your subconscious part of your mind.
Yeah.
They are very specialist techniques. And the more that you can practice those sorts of techniques and those sorts of thought processes, the easier it becomes and the less overwhelmed and the less anxiety you actually suffer from.
Yeah. I've just got a question. I've got a question here from Chris Blankenship. He said, do you think that directors need to be more open to the actors, to often find that directors are very cold and not welcoming?
Absolutely. And this is something that the amalgamated group, I'm still waiting to find out. I think it's going to be called CIC, I think is what Matt is coming up with.
Right.
That is what we want to do as part of a development evening.
Right. What is CIC? Can you explain what that is? I
still need to find out from Matt exactly.
Oh, okay.
The amalgamation is still going through. He's still going through all the papers and what have you.
Right. Right.
So yes, it will all be tweeted. It will all go out.
Yes.
And it'll be like, right, yes, we are still Props Mental Health, but we're an umbrella under this business name.
Right. And how soon is that? Do you have how soon are you hoping for that to come into into knowledge for everybody?
Fingers crossed, the end of this week.
Oh, fabulous!
I had a catch-up conversation with Matt this morning.
Right.
So yes, end of this week, beginning of next week, and hopefully it'll all be out there.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Look. Is there anybody that would like, based on everything that we've heard so far, is there anything anybody would like to ask Laura? Because obviously that's why she's here. Yeah, Kitty, if you'd like to unmute yourself, and I'll leave you to chat with Laura.
Okay. Yeah, I was, the infographic that you had about the things that I can control and the things that I can't control and mindset and stuff, very, very helpful. What if, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. You can't control other people's attitudes, other people's reactions, which is true. But what if that person that you can't control has the power to affect your life, has the power to affect whether or not you have a job or something? If somebody's bullying you and they actually do have power to deny you something, mindset is a part of that. But how do you what do you do in yourself to deal with that sort of situation?
Report it, because this is a huge campaign that's running across the arts and entertainment industry at the moment. We are aware that there is an awful lot of bullying goes on. There is an awful lot of very, very unkind comments, and we want to eradicate this. Now, I do know that Equity have their hustings on the go at the moment. I know the manifesto for one of the candidates that's up for president, and I know the manifesto for one of the branch committee members. And along with our aims and goals, their manifestos actually match what we want to achieve as well. So there is work in progress at the moment, and that is the sort of things we want to eradicate. In terms of how you react to it, yes, you know, a casting director at the moment can create an awful lot of bullying and go right across the board and say, no, don't touch this actor, don't like this actor, don't like this actor. That's their opinion. So you need to be strong within your own mindset and say, well, that's their opinion. I need to filter out all the positive comments and amongst all the negative, no matter how many negatives there are. Look for all the positives out of a negative situation and work on those. Even if there's only 2 or 3 points, it's still something positive that you can work on. Because out of every negative situation, regardless of what it is, take the positives and move forward with that. Is that helpful?
That's fabulous. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
That's great. So Kerry, I think you had a question you wanted to ask. Yeah, hi.
It wasn't specific on that. Are you able to tell us whose manifesto is in line with yours? Or do you feel that would be pushing, showing favour for one person over another?
Yes, pretty much, Kerry, simply because I only know of these 2 candidates. I've been trying to find all the others and I haven't been able to find them.
Because I think I finally saw a third, because something popped up with a name. I'm going, I don't recognise that name. I only knew of 2. Yeah,
but I have personally one of them, the one that's going for the branch committee. I actually know her personally, and she's done a lot to help us set up all the ideas for this development evening that we want to hold. So yes, I mean, no, I'm not gonna mention the name, simply because, as you said, I don't want to show favoritism. But please be rest assured that when it comes to all the bullying and everything, because we know it is absolutely rife at the moment, and more so with lockdown, and the fact that everything is going to be even more competitive than before. So we are expecting a huge surge of issues with mental health and bullying and all the rest of it. You know, we're pretty much getting prepared for it. So yes, please be rest assured that we are working on it as fast as we can to get everything in place so that there's the support there for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Sophie, if you'd like to unmute yourself, please. Thanks.
Hi, Laura.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How can I help you?
I was just wondering how you can get rid of, I know it's not a magical overnight thing, but what would help? Because I have a lot of feelings of not being bothered with, like, not just the industry, just like life in general. Just because it's kind of like life is work at the end of the day.
Yep.
So a lot of the time I'm thinking, I just don't want to be here. And I know that's wrong, but how can you, and I'm trying to do things like yoga and meditation to kind of like do things, watch comedy that make me happy, but it's still kind of like an underlying thing that's always there. How do I get rid of it?
So is it, excuse me asking this question, and I'm sorry if this upsets anybody, is it like suicidal thoughts that you're having?
A bit embarrassed to say.
No, honestly, don't be embarrassed, because this is how we're able to help you. And if you don't want to discuss it on video, when we've finished, I can sit and have a chat with you in private, and we can break everything down, and we can come up with a few solutions that you can try and work on. Most of the time you find with suicidal thoughts, it's because you've got into a rut, you're struggling to get out of it, and no matter what sort of positive aspect you try and look for, there's a door getting slammed in your face all over the place. So it's being able to find that niche of how can you step forward to get rid of those thoughts? How can you increase your confidence? Because a lot of it is down to a lack of confidence as well. So, you know, that's something that I can sit and work with you on personally. And again, we can chat everything through, break down all the points, get to the root cause. We'll probably find that there'll be like 4 or 5 different issues all underlying. And we can, I've got a plan, and I'll share it in a minute. We can create a plan for each area, and we can work on that together. And that doesn't mean to say that it's one chat. You know, we can systematically once a week get together, have a chat for half an hour, see how things are going, and that can be ongoing. That's the thing with us. You know, it's not like, right, you're getting 6 sessions and that's it. You know, the ongoing support is there all the time. And I know there's some of you in here tonight that we've got a private group chat going through props. And, you know, some people will chat in there and say, well, I'm not happy with this, or how can I deal with this? And if they're not happy speaking in the group, we have our own individual DM chat.
Cool.
You know, the support is always there. And because I work night shift, I'm pretty much around 24/7. If I don't answer within half an hour, 9 out of 10 times I'll be asleep. And I will, you know, I will reply. My phone is practically attached to me 24/7.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Laura.
You're very welcome. So have a chat with me at the end, and then
Once the recording has stopped,
we'll get the ball rolling. So while we're on that, if I could just quickly share this last slide with you.
And then before you do, we'll get to Claire, and then we'll go to Ram. Okay, so it'll be Claire and then Ram. Okay.
Okay. So if I take that one down and no, don't want to do it that way. Oops. What have I done? Sorry, guys.
The joys of a live feed.
Yep. No, it's not that one I want. Where is it going? I bet it's because it's a Word document and not a...
Well, if you're unable to get that to work, is there any way you could put a...
There we go. Is that it?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So this is a Word document that I've created, and it was about 12 years ago. I was trying to work out an aims and goals plan, and it was an American I was talking to, and they said, well, write it out in this format. And you know what? Ever since then, whenever I've had an issue that I've not been able to figure out just by writing down a few notes, I've used this plan. So you've got A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, and D, E, F. So A corresponds to 1, which corresponds to D, B to 2, to E, and then C, 3, F. So I've got that written up the top for you. So it depends, it's entirely up to yourselves how you wanted to operate this. You can either have one plan, which was, for me, when I wrote this out, was I wanted to get a master's degree. So it's like, well, how am I going to go about it? So ABC was, where am I in life now? Unhappy, I'm going through a divorce, and I wanted to get my own house. So that was the three areas, was my housing, lack of education for me, and divorce. So my D, E, and F was, where did I want to be? Wanted my own house, wanted my degree, and can't remember the third one I said, but yeah, wanted my own house, wanted to be divorced, and wanted my education. So my 1, 2, 3, how was I going to do that? 1, get into university. How was I going to get into university? So I'm thinking, right, work experience. What did I do when I was at school? When was I happy at school? Yes, I did work experience. I went off and worked in primary schools, and I did teaching assistant while I was still at school myself. So I thought, right, how can I do that? So I looked at going back to college, and my daughter at this point had just started school. She was primary 1. And the head teacher that I actually went and spoke to said, come and work in our school, come and do work experience with us. Let's get you into college. Let's get your childcare and education qualification, and then either look at doing primary school teaching or go on to do something else at university. So again, we wrote out plans, and for each area, we wrote down plans. So I ended up with about 5 or 6 different plans. So I could see everything all systematically written out, and I was able to tick each thing off as I'd done it. So went to college, right, tick. Got my qualifications, tick. Managed to get into university, tick. Got through my 5 years at university, and that was by, I ended up having to repeat a year, mainly through ill health, while trying to deal with my divorce on top of everything else. And I just literally, over 5 years, ticked all my boxes. And I came out with my degree, I came out with a master's degree at the end of it, and all my suicide intervention, mental health qualifications. And I ended up, I think it's 11 certificates I've graduated with, and 2 of them are professional. And that was just simply by having a conversation with my daughter's head teacher. So you've no idea, you can have this idea, you can have this plan. It's just like, right, okay, and just flow with it. But as I say, when you see it written out and you can physically tick, that also helps to build up your confidence, builds up your networking, and you'd be really surprised at just how you can go from feeling so overwhelmed, so depressed, and nothing's going right in life and I can't get anywhere, to being off on a completely different spectrum. I hope that's helpful. And again, this is something else that I can send to you. You can quite happily use that. Stop sharing. And yeah, there we go.
Thank you very much indeed. Right.
You're welcome.
That's really helpful. I mean, if there's any way I don't know how you could put that up as a link of some sorts, or something that people can click onto, and then they've got a copy of that. I mean, I don't know how you would do that, but I'm sure that would be very helpful. So if you can, that'd be great.
All the 3 slides I've shared, I'll post them on Twitter and I'll post them on the Facebook pages.
Right.
And then at the end, I'll also give you my email address, well, the props email address.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can email them as well.
Right, that's fabulous. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to move on to Claire now, because I think Claire would like to ask you something.
Okay, so I'm just going to share a little bit now. So last year I actually had a breakdown because I felt like my life didn't mean anything, like I didn't need to be here, and I found myself actually walking on the M1. But luckily someone intervened and I ended up getting help, and luckily I had a really, really good counsellor, and they basically advised me to kind of look at, obviously like you suggested, all the things that made me me, and like why did I change stuff. And I have to say, theatre saved my life. It gave me back how to feel again. So I started doing improv classes for well-being, just to make me try and kind of get back. And obviously I started suffering from anxiety, so it's just taking that first step of actually going back into the audition process. And luckily someone actually gave me a chance, and I ended up playing, last summer I did a 3-week tour of The Secret Garden playing Martha. And but obviously I auditioned after that for other plays, for casting directors who didn't know my story, who didn't really know me. What would you do if you have to like speak to a casting director and tell them that you suffer from mental health issues? Just because I take medication, so sometimes the medication makes me slur my words, and also it makes me difficult to remember lines sometimes. And sometimes, like in rehearsals, I feel like I'm letting the team down. But how would you approach like a casting director and say, look, this is what's going on?
Just literally ask them for some private time. You've not so much an issue, but there's a circumstance that you want them to be aware of, and please can they give you some quality time on your own so that they can sit and have a chat with you. Now again, part of the aims and goals that we've got, Leo Thomas is the lady who goes on to film sets, and she's there the whole time on whatever locations they're at. She's on this film set, and she does all this sort of mediation and what have you, and helps the cast that's in your situation, and she helps to mediate with the likes of the casting directors and what have you as well. Yeah. So we want to be able to have somebody like that on every single film set. That is our aim and goal. So yes, it's going to be slightly more difficult for you in the present time, but hopefully ASAP we're going to be able to have that support mechanism, so you're not going to have that pressure of, now if I open my mouth, are they then going to turn around and tell me that I'm not suitable?
That has been obviously the issue. I auditioned earlier on in the year after playing obviously Martha, and obviously I had such a confidence boost, and I was starting to control obviously my mental health, and obviously this was before obviously lockdown happened, and I auditioned, and obviously they didn't think that I would be able to cope with the workload, but they wouldn't even obviously allow me to try. So
that and under the 2010 Work Act, that's actually discrimination.
Right, okay.
Because you've also now got your equality and equity laws as well that date back to 2010, and you've got the discrimination, neurological and diversity laws as well, which date back to 2010. So this is something that we also want to bring into the industry and make the industry aware of, that they do have employment laws that they have to adhere to. The industry is actually well far behind a lot of others. Now obviously, unfortunately, the likes of props, we can't get involved in campaigns like that. That's equity and all the other unions that are about. That is their job, is to be able to stand up on your behalf and say, well, actually, this isn't good enough. And again, going back to this one that I would like to be able to get in as the president, that is also part of his manifesto. His manifesto is absolutely phenomenal. And it's just like, yes, you get in as president, there is going to be major, major changes. So it literally is watch this space. So as I say, at the moment, what you can do for yourself is go to the casting director and say, I want to make you aware of this. It's not going to prevent me from working. All I'm asking for is a bit of support when I need it. Yeah. If I can come to you or come to somebody else and say, I'm having a bad session just now, and you might find that as long as you can obviously get a supporting casting director, the more times you can do that, actually, the better you'll feel, and the less that you'll actually probably need your medication, because people like you have actually come off a medication because their confidence has improved so much. So it's being able to, again, get that balance. But that is your starting point. Okay. Just openly and honestly speak with your casting director. And if they say, well, tough, and it's just, well, actually, I do know that there are laws there to protect me, and I'm asking you for help.
Okay.
Okay, and
All right, thank you very much.
you're very well. Please keep me updated with that one, because
Yeah, I will do.
that is something that we really do want to work on, and again eradicate along with the bullying, because it does come into the realm of bullying. Nobody
Okay.
should be turning around. What we don't obviously want to do is create a bunch of snowflakes, but we need to also be able to have that working relationship and get rid of the bullying. You know, it's all down to, again, you know, I know it's becoming cliche, but mindset and how you approach things, how people say things. And again, I won't put it up just now, but I do have another meme that I will share, and it's just like, what I say, what can I change?
Okay.
And it's surprising, just changing a few words to mean the same thing can completely change somebody else's mindset and how somebody else approaches you, and on a positive basis. You'll understand it when you see it.
Okay.
I'll post them all up tonight while I'm working.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome, but please do keep us posted and keep in touch, please.
Thank you. Ram, if you'd like to unmute yourself, and then I'm going to move on to Indra. Okay.
Hi, Laura.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all good. Hold on, let me just pin you real quick. Okay. Thank you for what you do. I believe everybody here appreciates it.
You're very welcome.
Just a quick disclaimer. I do not live in the United Kingdom. I happen to live in Dubai. So I've seen you talk about laws and things. These are not available. However, I've got two questions. One question is acting related. The other is personal. Do you wish me to say them both? All right, I'll start with the first one. In your opinion, what way or solution could you provide to an actor who's self-conscious about physical and mental status?
Sorry, physical and mental
Status. Yeah.
As in, sorry, how do you mean? As in, they don't think they look good enough for the part, or?
For example, especially when things come in applying to an audition or even to work in acting, like to progress in acting experience and training.
So, sorry, I'm still.
When it comes to physical, for example, my body, my shape, my face, my eyebrows, my beard. When it comes to mental, sometimes I think that I'm not able to do a specific role. Sometimes I believe I'm going to screw up with this role. Sometimes I believe with an emotion I can't work with, for example. These are mental.
Yes. So basically,
how to move on?
Yeah. How do you overcome these negative thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Write them down. Write down a list of negative, of what it is that's making you feeling overwhelmed and anxious, and then write down, well, what can I do to get from this negative to this positive? So have a column of negative, a column of positive. As I say, write down all your negatives, and then use your conscious side of your brain to override your subconscious and write out a list of positives. So you think, right, okay, I am going to be good enough for this. How much background around the role can I obtain? Am I able to approach the casting director and say, yes, I've read the script, I've read what you've given me. Can you give me slightly more in depth as to what you're expecting from the role, from the audition? And you might find that the more questions that you can ask, that then indicates to the casting director, well, hold on a minute, this person's actually really enthralled. They're not just going for this to get a job. They're actually really keen. And there is one casting director who does post quite a lot of comments and a lot of positive feedback on Twitter. And that is one of the things that he has touched on, that he really does like actors going up to him and saying, how do you want this portrayed? How do you want me to produce this role for you in this edition? And you know, it might earn you brownie points. So some casting directors might just turn around and say, well, do what you feel, which is fine. You know, they're obviously looking for a specific thing, but they might not see what they're looking for until they actually see somebody portray it. And it's just like, right, yes, okay, I'm going to go with that. So yeah, some of them might have preconceived ideas, some of them might not. So it's again, well, that's out of your control. What can you control of going into that interview? Presentation, make sure that you're looking smart, well presented, you're prepared, you've got the script, you've read through the script as much as you can. If you've got a monologue to learn, you've been able to learn that off pat. How do you control the anxiety when you're actually taking part in that audition, when the body starts shaking and the mind starts overwhelming? Think of your feet as tree roots. So you've got the gravity of the ground pulling you down. So it's coming from, the roots are coming from your feet down through the ground, and naturally the ground is pulling you down. Right. And that actually helps prevent some of the overwhelming anxieties within the brain. Because if you can feel grounded, everything all your emotions go down. As soon as you start feeling anxious or overwhelmed, all your emotions go up to your brain. And that's where your temperature rises, you start perspiring a lot more. So yeah, it's all about getting that grounding. So the best way again is to think of your feet as tree roots. And I can feel my blood pressure's going up, I can feel I'm beginning to perspire. Instantly, what can I do to get myself out of that situation? Tree roots stops working. Right. Think of 3 things, or five senses. You've got 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, hear. So instantly think on your feet. Right. What can I look at? Oh, there's a picture on the wall. What can I touch? There's a bit of wood here. What can I smell? And just instantly try and think of those 5 senses, and that in itself can stop anxiety and overwhelming sensations. So obviously, yes, you're under all this pressure. You're taking part in an audition. Think of tree roots. Think of 5 senses, and concentrate on what it is that you're trying to portray during this interview. During your audition, and you'll actually be surprised when you come out of it and you think, "Wow, hold on a minute. I'm not that absolute bag of nerves coming out of this. Why?" And think back to what processes, what techniques did you use, and write them down and think, right, okay, this is what I've done for this edition. What can I do for the next one? Does that help?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
When things, well, excuse me, I just bit my tongue there. When things come to, before, like during an audition, I don't really get nervous. I'm quite calm, and if I was even it's a tiny bit, I just feel like I just close my eyes and think that I'm, floating. Imagine when you dip yourself inside of water and you just, kind of float. I just relax and then I do my part. But the first comment that you were mentioned about the negatives and positives, writing down in a column about either physical or mental negative that I've got in my head, find a solution for them. That's a new thing to me. I'll find it. I usually just write everything that bothers me on a paper, and when I keep looking at it, I'll be like, okay, yeah, that even bothers me more.
Yeah.
So I just, throw it down. I don't look at it again. Probably throw it away.
Yeah, it's a case of being able to write out in a constructive format. Sometimes writing down a few words, if you're angry or somebody's peeved you off and it's just, and you're trying to build up that resilience, write down words on a piece of paper. Doesn't matter if it makes sense or not. When you want to actually constructively break something down to understand the root cause of something, yes, write it out in a systematic format that works for you. Negatives, positives in columns, bullet points, make sure it's clear and concise. And even if you end up having to move a few bullet points around, as long as you can make it into a constructive format, that's where you can move forward.
Right. So may I finally ask the personal question, John?
Yes, go for it.
Just the one more, and then we'll have to move on to Indra.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this one is pretty much personal, and it kind of put your opinion when I asked for it. It consider I was from 14 till this age. I'm 20. So since 14 till now, that's about 7 years or 6 years. How, in your opinion, okay, do you move on from a past that was hard and unforgiving, that has left a massive footprint of stress, anxiety, and depression? These are real life experiences, of course, that have subconsciously had their toll on myself.
Mhm.
And there are deep down feelings of mixed negative emotions that are just backing me down every single day since that time. And if you were to ask, have I considered suicide? Yes, it was a thought, and that was in 2017. And I was like, I had a talk with my parents, but it was just really, they included religion into it. And I was like, I'm going to go to hell. I was like, what the hell am I thinking? So, that was gone somehow. But no more of these thoughts still today. They're just extremely overstressing. So it just all of a sudden, hey, I'm happy. Then,
Yeah, something
so
will happen and it'll kick off a memory, or
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. My advice to you on that point would be to speak to a counsellor or speak to a therapist.
Just a
Simply
disclaimer, I've
because
never, this is probably the first, actually, not probably, this is the first time I even spoke to a person who happens to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist in general.
yeah,
I've never been to those sessions. Actually, we don't actually believe they kind of good or something. That we believe if somebody's really mentally ill, like it's just stupid. Yeah, we'll get them to a place like that. But no, like right now, how everybody is normal, like we might have some difficulties and go to a therapist. We would never do that. Like, I don't really think that we take it seriously, like most of you guys do
yeah.
in here. But yeah,
Yeah,
just
no,
a disclaimer.
you're quite right. I mean, when when you're out in general public and whatnot, you speak about a therapist. Yes, you're quite right. A lot of people go, right, yeah, whatever, bugger off, sort of thing.
Yeah,
And that again is, there's so much going on with mental health across the world just now. That again, that is stigma that we want to eradicate. Mental health isn't just about dealing with issues, dealing with anxiety. It's about being able to look after your own well-being, to
right.
stop you from getting into that area in the first place. So
Mhm.
obviously part of the areas that we want to be able to target are the drama schools. Schools get into the kids while they're young enough so that we can turn right, if you're bullied, this is techniques that you can try to deal with it. This is who you can report to, and hopefully they'll then be able to deal with situations. So as these children, going back to what you were saying about 14-year-old, as you grow up to get to the age you're at now, you've not had all that trauma. That's where we want to get to. Unfortunately, with somebody like yourself that's been through all that sort of trauma, counselling or speaking to a therapist is where we would strongly advise, simply because as an entity, we are only there to support the initial facilitating a network. So yes, we can ascertain, right, what is the root cause of your issue. You've said, you've touched on it. So it's just like, well, we're not qualified to deal with that. We're not qualified counsellors, we're not qualified therapists, but they are, and they can help you break everything down, work through everything systematically, allow you to talk, because that's the thing. Everything's all done in a confidential basis. They will obviously take notes, but they will only keep those notes between you and them. And they have techniques and everything that they can all break everything down. And they allow you to talk. They won't tell you what you need to do. They will talk to you in a format that allows you to figure out for yourself what you need to do to be able to overcome that. I mean, you might find that, depending on how traumatic some cases are, PTSD can come into play. Now, PTSD isn't just to deal with military that have been in wars and what have you. It can be to do with, format of domestic violence or an argument in the family, it affects people in all sorts of different ways. So again, speak to me at the end. I do start work at 10, but do catch up with me, and I can give you names that I can refer you to and see if they're able to help you. Again, at the moment, we've only got the hypnotherapy as free sessions just now. But there are names that I can give you for therapists, and we'll see what we can do to help get the ball rolling for you. Is that okay?
Right, thank you.
You're
that's really
welcome. Very welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome, and good luck. It's just to be able to speak out like that speaks volumes. You're aware that it's an issue. You're aware that you want to sort it. It's how do you sort it? And you've taken the first step by talking of how do I do this? So we can then help you on to the next stage, and you'll find in about a year's time you'll look back and go, wow, how did I get myself through that?
Thank you.
So you're welcome. So do keep it. Do send us a tweet at the end so that we can add you to a DM and we can get that sorted out for you.
And that's it's at Props Mental Health, isn't it?
I've got them followed. I've got them
Fabulous.
followed.
Okay.
We have spoken before, haven't we? Yeah.
I believe yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's great.
Yeah, Twitter while we're at it, because I can never remember them. Yes, so at Props M Health.
Right.
So it's Props Mental Health. I don't know if you can see that.
I'll put it in the comments.
Brilliant.
We've got in the comments.
We've got a community page that's open to the public on Facebook. And then we've also got a private group as well. And there are 3 questions you need to answer to prove that you are a professional creative actor performer to be able to join the group, because we want to use that group so that yourselves can just sit and talk amongst yourselves, and you're not got the prying eyes of the public, the fans, the supporters, more to the point, the press and all the media. It's somewhere that you can go to and feel safe away from prying eyes, and it is only professionals that's in there.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Indra, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question to Laura.
Hello, Laura. Thank you for doing this for us. So this question, it relates partly to acting, and it also relates to mental health. Basically, throughout my acting career so far, I found that in terms of making friends, it can be easy and it can be hard for me. And 2 years ago, someone I was friends with told me that I had nothing going for me because I'm only an emerging actor and I'm not a big model. And they said that's the reason why no woman would ever say yes to going on a date with me. And
nice.
I know, it's a nice thing, isn't it, to say that to somebody?
So basically, you're asking how do you overcome that? How do you get rid of that
actually,
negativity?
yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to react. I didn't mean to react like that.
No, it's fine. That is so common within the industry.
This person wasn't actually an act. This person wasn't an actor, by the way.
No, but it's whenever anybody says, "Oh, I want to go into performing, I want to go into musicals, I want to be a dancer," that is so common for anybody that is out with the industry, be it a professional or amateur. You get it all the time. My hometown's absolutely full of it. What do you want to do that for? You're not good enough, and don't ever think you're going to make anything of yourself. That's all negative comments. Now that you cannot control what comments are said to you. What you can control is how you react to them, how your subconscious mind digests what's said. Now, is it a fact or is it an opinion? When somebody says that sort of thing to you, is it a fact or is it an opinion? Which one in your mindset would it be?
Well, I believe it's an opinion.
It's an opinion, exactly. It is an opinion. Can you control somebody else's opinion? No.
No.
have you got any other mates that have turned round to you and said, hey, do you know what, you'd make a great actor? Have you ever thought about modelling?
Yes, actually, I have had that. My ex-girlfriend suggested I should do modelling.
There you go. So, you know, you've got conflicting opinions there. So, confidence-wise, what do you think you could go with?
Well, I could go with the people that that actually are the opposite of what that person said.
Yeah, stay with your positives. They always say, keep your circle small, have all your acquaintances, have all your networking and all the rest of it. Keep your circle tight, keep your circle small. You'll find that as you get older, your friendship circles get smaller and smaller and smaller. Why?
Yes.
Because we realise who we can trust, we realise who is always supportive, who is there for us. You may be able to only count on one hand how many people you can turn to and confidently say, I've got an issue here, how do I deal with this? Or, I'm not sure if I want to try this or not. What, you know, can I ask your opinion? Would I be suitable for doing it? You know, as again, you know, you'll only be able to count on one hand the amount of people you can do that with. And those are the ones that will be the honest and open with you. So if you've got the likes of your girlfriend, she obviously thinks, yeah, great, you know.
Yeah, well, she's my ex-girlfriend, actually.
Yeah, but you know, but the fact that she had that confidence in you, you know, speaks volumes. So, you know, always stick with your positives. Try and delete as many negatives as you possibly can. If it's a negative, constructive comment, then look for the positives out of it. But anybody that says that sort of thing to you, it says more about them than you as a person.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah. So again, it's looking at your meditation. It's looking at your positive mindset. How can I control the resilience to receiving comments like that? And it's just like, no, this is what I want to do. Use the aims and goals plan, you know, devise it to however way it works for you. It's only a template, and use that to work out how you're going to be able to get into what you want to do.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Just looking at the time, we are catching up. Are you open for a further couple of questions, Laura?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Yep.
Now, is there anybody else that would like to ask a question? Hannah. Yeah.
Hannah does.
Hello. So my question, I speak very bluntly about mental health because personally I don't care about my own, but I come in the category of not sick enough for quite a lot of things. How do you deal with that? Because there's a few things that I've got fibromyalgia, so I'm just in pain all the time. And I had an incident in November where, I'm sorry if this like triggers anyone, like, yeah. I ended up taking a load of drugs because I couldn't cope, and I didn't feel like I was worth anything as an actor if I couldn't like learn my lines, or I couldn't like be on stage without being in pain or things like that. And then I went to several different professionals and things like that. No one could help me because I didn't come in the category of like being sick enough. They were like, we don't understand what you're doing. And I have problems with food, so I can't eat in front of people. I'm only just getting comfortable like talking about food with people, and that's like baby steps for me. So it's like every professional I've gone to, they've gone, you're not sick enough, we can't deal with you. But as an actor, if someone's wanting me to like eat something on set or talk about food, there's been many parts that I've not been able to do because I've struggled to talk about food. I've struggled to come to terms with the way I look and things like that, and it's mentioned in a role. So how do you deal with those sort of things?
Wow, you've got a lot going on there. Right, yes.
That's like not even the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Right, again, we need to systematically work out what each issue is, break it all down, and then find out the areas that we can work on to build everything back up for you. So again, for mental health, you know, there are physical conditions not just likes of your Asperger's, your autism and all the rest of it. You've got another spectrum that comes off of that of all your physical health. Physical health does kick off mental health issues, and especially when it's a hidden not a disability, but a hidden condition such as fibromyalgia. Other people can't see it. They look at you and think, oh yeah, you're just a confident person, there's nothing wrong with you, blah blah blah. When actual fact, yes, fibromyalgia, it suppresses the immune system, it suppresses the nervous system, and you are in constant, it's been described to me as like a highly intensive pins and needles with heat stabbing, and it's like waves through the body from the head to toe, and it will go up and down, and they will actually each wave will pass each other in different formats, so it could just dot around the place. And yeah, it's a very, very debilitating condition. So for you, it would probably be a case of try and find a therapist or counsellor that is trained in fibromyalgia. They are out there. There's very few of them. They are out there that can sit and work systematically on techniques specifically for your condition. Again, everybody is different, so what might work for some might not work for others. So we can look at those sort of aspects. There's 2 or 3 names I've got popping through my head that we can try and reach out to and see if I can get you any support there. In regards to food, probably a nutritionalist. Have you had an eating disorder yourself?
Yes, but no doctor will recognize it. So I tried to get help when I was 14 for anorexia. The doctors wouldn't help me because I couldn't tell my parents. And then that kind of spiraled very much out of control. I was nearly hospitalized for it because I just completely stopped eating. And then I kind of had a mix of anorexia and bulimia. So I didn't fit into the anorexic category because I wasn't thin enough. So again, not sick enough. And I didn't fit into the bulimia category because most of my traits were typical of anorexia, but I wasn't skinny enough for that. So they wouldn't help me. And it's been like a constant cycle of I'm not sick enough to get any treatment. And then when I was at uni, I was like, I'll get some help while I'm at uni, different doctors, maybe they'll help me. And then went through different stages, had to do the process twice because of the way everything worked out. And then I got a letter back saying, we can't deal with you because you're not the type of sick that we're looking for. And I'm like, how many channels do I have to, how many people, like how many counselors do I have to go through to be like, I just need someone to help me? And I can't get that no matter where I go, because I'm either too sick for one person or not sick enough for another person. And I'm like stable at the moment, which is great. But then if I get into an acting world, if I've got a job or something, or I'm auditioning for something, I'm not going to think I'm skinny enough. So my eating disorder is going to come straight back through the door. And I'm like, I've got no tools to cope with that. But because I'm not sick enough at this moment, I'm like, I can't get any help. And surely that's the space where you need to be like, okay, you're not sick enough at the moment, but you're in the right mental space. Because if my eating disorder is going up, I'm not listening to anyone. I'm not in the right mental space to go, oh, I can deal with these tools. I can process these tools and I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go, everything you're saying is a lie. So surely this is the better space to be in, but no one will help me in this space.
Yeah, I fully understand, what your situation is. But again, I've got 2 or 3 names zipping through my mind that I can go to and say, right, we've got this issue. Have you got any contacts we can get through this? So again, send us a DM. As I say, I can't promise that these people will help, but it's a stepping stone in the hopes that somewhere along the lines we will be able to get some format of connections and networking and what have you going. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and best of luck. Are you a part of the fibromyalgia community? Have you got in touch with the fibromyalgia people on Twitter and the charity?
Not on Twitter. I'm part of a few Facebook groups on it, but they irritate the hell out of me sometimes, and I'm like,
so I take it they're just groups that have been created of people that have got fibromyalgia that are there just to support each other.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll need to get you in contact with the Fibromyalgia Society and all the professional help that's out there for that. Okay, and I've got some of the contacts for you for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome, and yeah, we'll get that, because once you get the fibromyalgia sorted out and can learn different techniques in the format of control, and obviously there's going to be times that it's going to get out of control. You're not going to be able to control it. It's just going to be a case of, I need to go to my bed and there's nothing I can do about this. You know, and don't ever feel guilty for that, because that's your body telling you that I need to stop and slow down here.
Yeah,
It's getting that balance right between being able to listen to your body and having a strong positive mindset of saying, right, I can't let this beat me. I've got to have a life, but then I've got to get the balance right of being able to do stuff and know when I need to stop.
Yeah.
I'm sure that once you manage to get that balance, the issues that you've had with food will probably not sort itself out, but it will become better and you will have less issues around being around food.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we can try and work on that as well. So as I say, please do send us a DM on Twitter and we'll get the ball rolling with that one.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome, and best of luck, and thank you for contacting us.
Thank you, Hannah. Okay, is there anyone else? Well, we're in time for one more question. Is there anybody that wants to ask a question? If not, I believe you've got a quick meme you were going to put up for everybody. Is that right? Was there something else you were going to show us, or?
No, I'll add it. I didn't add it to the desktop.
Okay, no worries.
I did bring it into the conversation. Yeah, it was the one with the red and green poster with the words
yes,
on it.
You mentioned that. Yes, yeah.
So
okay,
I will add that on Twitter.
Fine. Okay, that'd be great, and then everybody can see that, can't they? Okay. Well, look. If there's no more questions, I just want to say on behalf of everybody else, and I'm sure everybody will agree, a very, very big thank you to you, Laura, for coming on and giving so much wonderful advice. And I think she deserves a round of applause, don't you, for that? I mean, that was
welcome.
Amazing. Honestly, thank you very much indeed. Yes, and what we'll try to do is we'll try to schedule another date at some point with everybody, and subject to your availability as well. And hopefully we can get the message out there that, you know, it is okay to talk.
Yes, no, that's absolutely fine. Would love to do that. As I say, there's so much in the pipe. Well, I mean, it's just now waiting for everything to come through with the amalgamation.
Yes.
We've got a junior ambassador lined up. I know who I want to have for an adult ambassador. It's a case of finding the contacts to get a hold of this person. So yes, as I say, you know, the next time, you know, hopefully amalgamation's taken place, Matt and Leo can be here with us, and you know, you'll get the general scope of absolutely everything that we're wanting to do for you. But as I say, in the meantime, we are here as a facilitating, networking support group, doing you know, what we've discussed tonight.
Yes, well, that's been brilliant. So for the benefit of everybody that's watching on the replay, we're going to say goodbye, and please remain online if you wish to after the recording. So thank you very much indeed, and bye-bye for now.
Okay, thanks ever so much.
Have a lovely day.